I have been a fan of NASCAR for over 20 years, and over those years I have learned 3 things. Number 1, left turns are badass, and no one can tell me otherwise. Number 2, when you go to a NASCAR event, your diet's mostly going to consist of red meat and beer. And 3, the only thing that NASCAR has ever been consistent on is being inconsistent with their calls. We can all think of at least one race where we feel like the call was questionable to say the least on NASCAR's end. But the sad thing is, we're probably not thinking the same exact race. There have been so many times that NASCAR screwed up a perfectly ran race just because of a random call that nobody agreed with except for NASCAR themselves. Makes you think they're just making this crap up as things go on. It doesn't really help that their rule book is open to the public either. But do you know what is? Their ever so growing chronicles of all their controversies throughout the years. Why don't we start tackling this grand mountain of history and start a series that dives into these controversial calls? Are you ready? Because I know they're not. So let's start with a brand new series known as the NASCAR Controversy Chronicles. This is episode 1 of what I feel like will be a very, very long series. So without further ado, let's dive in.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing alongside Mr. Vanillawafers, who's had an impressive 9 top 10 finishes in this 12-car field. Mr. Vanillawafers, who do you have to thank for all this success?
Well, thanks, Bob. By the way, that outfit looks absolutely terrible. Not like my outfit, it looks absolutely phenomenal. But this team has been driving towards success, which is why, for this year, we have also dressed for success, which is why I am now partnered with COOFANDY.com. COOFANDY.com is the next men's fashion wear where you are able to dress for life's biggest journeys. Before I partnered with COOFANDY, this team was lacking in the fashion department, to say the least. In fact, this is what it looked like when I was exiting the race car. Ooh, that was pretty depressing. Now here's me exiting out of the car with COOFANDY's red wine blazer as well as their new black pants. Now that looks a lot better, and even NASCAR teams agree, as Christopher Bell as well as Joe Gibbs Racing have now partnered with COOFANDY for the Martinsville Fall Race, as they will be the primary sponsor for the number 20 team. Because of this, COOFANDY have also partnered with them with their exclusive merchandise, so make sure to check that out on COOFANDY.com and look at their exclusive JGR and COOFANDY merchandise. So what are you waiting for? I'm already dressed for success, and you should be too, so make sure to go to COOFANDY.com and enter code VAN25 for an additional 25% off. Remember, life is a journey, and COOFANDY's got you covered so that you are always dressed for victory. The 2006 Daytona 500 was the 48th running of the Great American Race, and to this day holds the record for being the most viewed NASCAR race of all time, with around 20 million people watching the event unfold that Saturday afternoon. To put that in comparison, the Masters that year had only 12 million viewers, the NBA Finals had 13 million, and the MLB World Series had 16 million. Super Bowl was still kicking our asses, but hey, we were beating all the other sports. These were some big numbers. And of course, people were watching because of a variety of reasons. There were plenty of personalities in the sport, the cars looked better than ever, and the racing was intense. So intense, in fact, that some drivers were outwardly complaining about how dangerous the driving was becoming.
Got a lot of beating and banging out there, almost more than normal.
Yeah, we're going to kill somebody, so, I mean, somebody else is going to die at Daytona or Talladega with what we're doing right here, so, I hope I'm not around when it happens.
I gotta love good old Tony Stewart, never afraid to speak his mind. But to hear him this angry, it was a big topic throughout Speed Weeks. At the beginning of the race, it appeared that Tony Stewart's concern of aggressive driving was valid, as he and Jeff Gordon tagged the wall, causing damage to both cars. Luckily for Tony Stewart, it didn't seem to affect his car all that much, as he was able to drive throughout the field with little to no issues. With that said, it appeared that something was horribly damaged after that incident, and that was Tony Stewart's temperament. Around the halfway point, Stewart was swerving towards drivers like a maniac while heading towards the front, an action that the commentators quickly caught on to.
Wow. That's just, I don't know what Jimmy Johnson did, but Stewart was angry with him.
However, the most blatant act was yet to come.
Look out! Wow, I can't believe everybody missed that.
20 wrecked me, guys. The 20 wrecked me plain as day.
Check out what happened. There's Tony. Wow, man, well, it doesn't get more blatant than that.
And look at this, up across the track.
While going down the back straightaway, Tony Stewart swerved all the way down the racetrack and took out Matt Kenseth in front of the field. Fortunately, no other drivers were involved, but Kenseth received damage from the incident from a blatant act from a driver who was complaining about aggressive driving earlier in the week. And the decision by NASCAR, sending Stewart to the tail end of the field, still on the lead lap.
What?
I'm sorry, but a call like this is hardly a punishment. Yes, he loses some positions in the race at the moment, but at a restrictor plate in 2006 with over 200 miles left to go, that's at most like a finger wagging to a kid, like, oh, no, you don't do that. Just go to the back of the line. That's all you need to do right now. You've learned your lesson. Go right ahead. Kenseth agreed and voiced his displeasure with his team as they were repairing the car while Stewart came down pit road to serve his penalty under caution. While coming out, Matt Kenseth came up the track beside Tony Stewart. Tony swerved again while Kenseth swerved back with his hand out the window. NASCAR did not like this and they decided to penalize Matt Kenseth for aggressive driving. Yeah, same exact penalty, but here's Stewart's aggressive driving and here's Kenseth's aggressive driving. Spot the difference? Actually, it's not fair to say that that was the same penalty because Kenseth had the service penalty on the green flag lap, which means he ended up going 2 laps down. Tony Stewart got to stay on the lead lap. A call that I have no idea why NASCAR decided to throw the book at one driver and not the other. In the end, Tony Stewart came back and finished 5th, while Matt Kenseth wasn't able to get back on the lead lap until 20 to go and finished 15th. Even the most watched race in NASCAR history, NASCAR couldn't help but make a controversial call. What do we got next?
Felix Sabates will be waving the green flag to begin this first Union 400, and there it is. The race is on.
The 1990 First Union 400. Honestly, this race right here is always on a list when it comes to videos like this talking about NASCAR controversies, but it's just so damn fun to talk about. This race took place at North Wilkesboro Speedway on April 2nd, 1990, more than 35 years ago. See, back in the early 90s, NASCAR didn't have electronic timing and scoring for their races. They would have officials all around the racetrack keep notes on all the drivers and where they were running. Just imagine being one of those poor track officials trying to keep track of all 32 cars on a short track.
Okay, 16, 24, 3, 48, 17, and 8, and then 3. Wait, I already counted him. Wait, I lost track. No, please, don't fire me. I'll figure it out. 16, no. Who's that guy? He's not in the race. Ow!
Well, it was only a matter of time before this technique would go horribly wrong, and that's what happened here in this race. In the first half of the event, 4 drivers stood out as the top dogs in the race: Brett Bodine, Darrell Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, and Mark Martin. Each driver showed a tremendous amount of speed that week. However, it appeared that the race would not only be won on the racetrack, but also on pit road. That day, tires were essential to running fast lap times out on the aging surface, meaning it was important for teams to execute their pit stops at the right time. During a caution around lap 154, Brett Bodine decided to come down pit road and change tires before the leaders. Roughly 30 laps left during another caution, the other 3 drivers came down pit road to change tires while the 26 cars stayed out to take the lead. Brett Bodine held onto the lead for about 63 laps, until Dale Earnhardt was able to get by with fresher tires. I guess during their next pit stop, the 26 team is just going to have to try again and try to get the advantage on the other drivers. Only the caution never came out. And for a short track like North Wilkesboro in the 80s and 90s, that's freaking rare. So teams are forced to do something that is only heard of in the Gen 7 era, and that is come down pit road during a green flag cycle on a short track. Brett Bodine is the first one to come in at lap 304, while everyone else comes about 15 laps later, and that's when it happens.
It's just before Earnhardt came in, so...
Spin down in turn one. Kenny Wallace is involved. Kenny Wallace slams the wall in turn number one.
Oh no!
Kenny Wallace wrecks his car in turns 1 and 2, and it was at this point where every official at North Wilkesboro collectively shat themselves. Now officials have to determine who was leading at the time of caution. The pace car picks up Dale Earnhardt as he was the leader before pit stops, which makes sense. I mean, he had a commanding lead before the stops, but that was not the case. See, Brett Bodine was actually the leader on some people's notebooks, including the 2016 themselves, and to that I say, yeah, no shit, I'd be saying the same thing too. So because of a scoring error, we got some people, including the pace car, thinking that Dale Earnhardt is the leader, while we got other people thinking that the 26 car of Brett Bodine is the leader, and he's at the tail end of the field, which technically means everyone is behind almost a lap. Because of this, Larry McReynolds, Brett Bodine's crew chief, brings the 26 car down pit road for brand new tires and fuel while NASCAR sorts out this issue. NASCAR takes 17 laps to make a decision on who should be out front. Viewers don't know what's going on because they've been in commercial for 15 minutes. Fans don't know what's going on. Cars are just going around the racetrack just doing parade laps at this point. Then officials finally say, alright, fine. 26 car's the leader. Everyone get around the pace car and catch up to the 26 car. The green flag drops on lap 339 and Brett Bodine, with the newest tires on the track, leads the final 62 laps en route to his first and only Cup Series win of his career. Also, quick little noggin boss fact, this was actually Buick's last ever victory in the Cup Series. But if you're a fan of slap shoes, which I'm pretty sure 99% of you are, then you know this fact like it's the back of your hand at this point. While the 26 team celebrates, all the other drivers are left scratching their heads and saying that Brett did not win the race. The most upset being Darrell Waltrip, who finished second in the event. Darrell protested the race and even pleaded to then CEO Bill France Jr. However, Bill France Jr. was undeterred and let the victory stand, and told DW to leave that boy alone. You're going to win plenty of more races. Darrell only won 5 more races in his career. Now today, there are arguments that NASCAR actually made the right call, that the 26 car was in fact the leader at the time of caution. People have crunched the numbers on the average speed when it came to new tires and old tires, as well as the pit stop times and how far back the 26 car was before he went down pit road, and say that Brett Bodine in the number 26 car was in fact the leader. And if that's the case, I got 2 issues. The first thing being, the 26 car did get a free pit stop during that long caution and still got to hold on to the lead after he went down pit road, and it's something that a lot of people overlook when they talk about this. And 2, we would then have to now admit that NASCAR does make the right calls at times when we feel like they are making the wrong calls. Yeah, that's definitely not happening.
It's a great afternoon in Talladega, Alabama. Sit back and enjoy 300 miles for the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
If there was ever a call that ruined my day because of how bad it was, it would be this one. The 2016 Sparks Energy 300 was the 9th race of the Xfinity Series season in 2016, and oh boy did it piss some people off. Not because of the race itself, I mean the race was fine. Nothing too crazy happened except for this gnarly incident here. But with just 3 laps to go, the 43 of Jeb Burton got sideways in the tri-oval, leading to a NASCAR overtime. Drivers up front were Joey Logano, Talladega's most despised driver at the time, Elliott Sadler, now an Xfinity Series regular, and Brandon Poole, an up-and-coming driver making his first full-time start in the Xfinity Series. Something crazy was bound to happen here on this restart, and many fans, including myself, were on the edge of their seat seeing who was going to win this race. With the start of the overtime finish underway, everyone was ready for a show around the 2.66 mile track, and boy did we get a show. It was just a shit show. I mean, not as bad as the fall 2015 race, but this is a podium finisher, believe me. Coming out of the tri-oval on the final lap, it appeared to be a battle between Elliott Sadler and Joey Logano. That was until both made contact and lost control of their race cars. This opened up the door for Justin Allgaier and Brendan Poole to race their way to the line. As they came to the line, both drivers were bumping and banging to the checkered flag, leading to an exciting drag race where Brendan Poole edged out Justin Allgaier to get his first win. Man, what an amazing way for a driver to get his first win of the series. He locks himself into the playoffs, becomes the third driver to get his first victory at Talladega in the Xfinity Series, and caused the upset of the year. Wait, the finish is under review?
What's going to transpire here?
There's the caution. Here's Elliott Sadler. Watch for the caution light to come on. Elliott Sadler wins it at Talladega.
Unbelievable.
How about that?
The birthday boy, Mike.
Wow, that is so special.
You love it for him. You hate it for Brendan Poole.
NASCAR decided to throw the caution immediately after the two leaders got swirly, meaning that this finish doesn't mean anything. See, in NASCAR, once the caution is thrown in the final lap, the field is completely frozen at the time of caution, meaning whoever is leading at that exact moment is considered the winner of the race. And when they decided to throw the caution, Elliott Sadler was still in the lead. Hell, Logano was still technically in the top 5. But wait a minute, Elliott Sadler was involved in the accident and wasn't able to maintain speed. Shouldn't that count against him? No. Apparently not. They just looked at one snapshot and said, yeah, looks good to me. I think this is one of the only times a driver was involved in a last lap caution and still won the race. Elliott Sadler wins, Brendan Poole leaves dejected and with a third place finish. They even got him behind Justin Allgaier too at the perfect time. Jackasses. And to this day, we are left in frustration on why the caution was thrown so quickly. Think about it, it would have made zero difference if they would have thrown the caution then compared to waiting until the leaders crossed the start finish line. The damage was already done and you have to wait until all the damaged cars come to a rest, which they didn't for an additional 10 seconds. So that didn't make a difference. All NASCAR did was take away a badass finish from us and gave it to a car that was in the process of wrecking, instead of a driver who could have won their first ever race at the biggest oval of them all. Oh yeah, fast forward 9.5 years and Brendan Poole still hasn't gotten that first win yet. This one can definitely sting if you think about it for too long. And that's where we'll wrap things up here in the Controversy Chronicles. Guys, I hope you like this new series and this new style of video. I feel like this series has a lot of potential and hopefully you guys do feel the same. So let me know down in the comments section if you'd like to see this series continue. I also plan to keep updating the other series as well, so don't worry, those aren't getting affected and they aren't going anywhere. But if you're new to the channel, please leave a like, subscribe for more NASCAR related content, and thank you so much for watching. And as always guys, you all take care.